Recently, I did some analysis of the engagement interview of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Now, as requested by some viewers, I wanted to briefly look at the engagement interview of Prince William and Kate Middleton from 2010. I know very little about the royal family and so was very surprised when I saw the interview. I only saw the occasional photo or headline in the news, showing Kate in a posh hat and having fun with attending a ceremony or horse race. In the engagement interview of Harry and Meghan, they seemed very authentic, passionate, and down to earth. So naively I expected this to be also true here. However, this interview is in stark contrast of that. It feels almost there's a century between William and Harry in terms of worldviews. Okay, let's get started.
Time away together with some friends, and I just decided that it was the right time. Really, we've been talking about marriage for a while, so it wasn't a massively big surprise. But
So he looks at her very briefly and then he looks down, which makes it look very dismissive. And so when she finally turns, he already looks away. So this is a theme between the two. Very unlike Harry and Meghan, there's this huge gap between the two. They don't hold hands, they don't look at each other really. They seem very stiff. This awkwardness is also enhanced because the camera comes from an angle, as opposed to the interviewer is sitting right in front of them. And so you always see Kate a little bit from the side, which makes her look very camera shy.
I took her up somewhere nice in Kenya and proposed.
Kenya, very interesting. So Harry also proposed in Africa. So what's the thing about Africa? So Kenya was a former colony of the British Empire from 1920 to 1963. I just looked it up. So it seems a bit like the good old times, potentially an illusion of grandeur when the British Empire was world leading. Doesn't even the Brexit minister David Davis have a map of Victorian England in his office?
It's very romantic. There's a true romantic in that.
There is.
You said yes, obviously.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Of course. Her English is very posh. She apparently comes from a middle-class family in Reading. I've been to Reading before. They don't speak like that. They speak more like, give me some water, minus my German accent. So apparently she had some beach lessons in aristocratic English.
I had done a little bit of planning to obviously show my romantic side.
It's also very typical for him. He seals his mouth after he speaks. So apparently he wants to prevent himself from saying too much or saying any more or being embarrassed about it. So he does this a lot in the interview.
You see this coming? Was he getting a bit nervous and jump in?
No, not at all. No, because we were out there with friends and things, so I really didn't expect it at all. I thought he might have.
Oh, English is very nice.
Maybe thought about it, but no. It was a total shock when it came.
So he fiddles around with his hands a lot. He seems nervous. She takes over a very little space, so it makes her look very shy. Her hair is divided in the middle, which makes her look very conventional. So overall, these look like very conventional, slightly boring people. Excuse my frankness.
Exciting. We've been talking about it for a long time, so for us it's a real relief, and it's really nice to be able to tell everybody, because especially the last two.
Just now you saw the micro-expression of disgust, the wrinkling up the nose and pulling up of the mouth corners on both sides. So he does this a lot. So I don't think he's disgusted of her at all. It's just his manner. He's very dismissive about everything. So by being very dismissive and aiming very low, you prevent yourself from being disappointed. It's like a preemptive strike. So his fear of disappointment might come from him losing his mother. This is sort of a protection mechanism.
But I didn't know if my mother knew, so I came back from Scotland and my mother made it didn't make it clear to me.
So here it looks very soft, almost feminine.
Whether she knew or not. So both of us were there, sort of looking at each other and feeling quite awkward about it. But
Evidently have a close-knit family, and family is very important to you.
Yeah.
She gets very serious when he talks about family. So there are some things going on.
It's very important to me, and I hope we'll be able to have a happy family ourselves, because it's been they've been great over the years, helping me with difficult times. And
So she talks a lot about difficult times. So she had her share of disappointment as well. Her left side of the face, which is controlled by the emotion, the right side of the brain goes down, which is a sign of sadness. So there's some disappointment in her life, and sometimes you see even the white under her left eye. It could even be a signature of depression.
We see a lot of each other, and they're very, very dear to me.
So here, very, very dear to me. He nods to emphasize, and he looks at him as well. So she's basically telling him something, that this is really important to her, and he better listen.
Obvious question, but chill.
So the interview has his fun with the two stiff ones here, yeah? He is a funny one here. William tries to be funny, but he's not at all.
Do you want lots of children? See what comes. What's your
I think we'll take it one step at a time. We'll sort of get over the marriage thing first, and then maybe look at the kids. But
Again, very dismissive. This is a signature of disgust in his face. He doesn't want to be disappointed, so let's aim low.
obviously, we want a family, so we'll have to start thinking about that.
Going back to the start, 'cause I think people, as I say, will be very curious about the totality of your relationship. When did you first set eyes?
She looks very, very serious. Here she sees a white under her eyes a little bit, and here it goes down her face. Her tilted head gives her an impression of sadness overall. She also had some of her share of disappointment.
Well, it's a long time ago now, Tom. I'm trying to rack my brain about it all. But we were obviously...
He should remember how they met. I mean, this is normally the best story people tell.
See, we met at university at St Andrews, and
Here again, quick look, looking down, dismissive.
we were friends for
She looks down, kind of sad.
over a year first, and it just sort of blossomed from then on. We just spent more time with each other and had
Blossomed, he looks away.
a good giggle, had
Giggle?
lots of fun, and realised we shared the same interests, and just had a really good time.
Oh, sounds boring.
She's got a really nice sense of humour, which kind of helps me because I've got a very dirty sense of humour. So
He doesn't have any sense of humor.
it was good fun. We had a really good laugh, and then things happened.
Things happen, it took some years.
Did you think of William? I mean, he's clearly not quite the same as meeting your average, university student. Maybe it was, I don't know. But
So you see, she doesn't have much of an upper lip here. You see her teeth when she smiles. This is essentially some sort of forced smile. It's not a sincere smile overall. It indicates she has a hidden agenda somewhere. There seems to be a lot of unspoken issues here in the room. She has secrets. He has things he doesn't want to talk about. There's a lot of open issues. This is sort of the silent really screams here at you.
what was your first impression?
Well, I think when you said, I actually went bright red when I met you and sort of scuttled off, feeling very shy about meeting you. But and actually, when
He looks down. It should be a fun story.
initially he wasn't there for Freshers Week, and so it did take a bit of time for us to get to know each other.
Normally a story is very exciting, and she basically talks about him not being there in the beginning, and it took some time to get to know each other, and they had a giggle. This doesn't sound like passion.
But we did become, very close friends
Friends? That's boring.
from quite early on.
There's a story that goes the rounds that you had a picture of him on your wall.
It wasn't just one, there was like 10, 20.
He wishes. No, I had the Levi's guy on my wall, not a picture of William. Sorry.
It was me and Levi.
So here he tries to be funny, doesn't work very well. She claps him on the knee a little bit, a little friendly pat. There's no intimacy between the two. It just sounds like they're friends, not more.
Yeah.
You like my cooking?
Well, your cooking was alright.
Again, very dismissive. Micro expression of disgust, and then he looks away. But it's not like he's disgusted of her. I think he's just aiming very low to be protected against disappointment.
It's got better.
Does William
Whoa.
ever cook or indeed do anything useful?
Define useful, Tom.
He is not funny.
Yeah.
No, he does actually. He did cook for me quite a bit at university, and it would always come with a bit of angst and a bit of anger if something had gone wrong, and I'd have to wander in and save something that was going.
So being honest,
Here she seems more like his mother.
is that a skill that's declining over time or improving?
I would say I'm getting better at cooking. Kate would say I'm getting a lot worse.
Not funny.
I didn't give you enough chance to practice, then maybe.
No, that is true. I get quite lazy about cooking because when I come back from work and stuff, that's the last thing I want to do really is spend loads of time cooking. But
I can't imagine he has a normal work day being tired and not wanting to cook. I mean, it looks very dismissive again. And she doesn't like it. She's displeased here. So overall, this whole cooking scenario is very sexist, I think. He should be able to cook a few dishes. It seems like he jumped out of a time machine from 100 years ago.
when I was trying to impress Kate, I was trying to cook these amazing fancy dinners, and all that would happen was I'd burn something would overspill, something would catch on fire, and she'd be sitting in the background just trying to help and basically take control of the whole situation. So I was quite glad she was there at the time.
That's not even particularly funny. This is the 21st century.
Slightly awkward for the other flatmates? Or?
No, to be honest, they were perfectly happy with it. They were used to it, watching me sort of catching things fire, and
Not funny.
They found it very amusing.
Do they mean having the two of you going out in the flat, or did they just not bat an eyelid?
I think at first they were sort of a bit surprised that it was what happened, and then they realised it was really
She looks up, quite bored.
nice, and it was good fun, and we got on really well. They were good friends of ours as well, and so
She has no expression of fun. She looks at the ceiling like, oh my god.
we had a good giggle with them as well.
Giggle. Again, very dismissive.
I suppose a lot of people are going to wonder.
Here she looked in the camera, so she's aware of the camera. It makes her look very shy, very insecure. Also, again, she takes very little space here.
I was quite nervous about meeting William's father.
Interesting, the question was William's family, and she talks about the father. That must be the most awkward part.
But no, he's very, very welcoming and
very, very welcoming. No, she says, and shaking the head. So apparently he's not welcoming.
Very friendly. So yeah, it couldn't have gone easier really for me. But
okay, it wasn't easy.
But yeah.
Meeting the grandmother, being not again like your average meeting with the grandmother.
The interview has lots of fun with them. Man, oh man, they're so stiff.
She was very friendly, and no, it was fine.
She's very welcoming. She knew it was for a while, so it was very nice of her to come over and say hello. And
shaking his head, dismissive look.
We had a little chat, and got on really well.
A little chat. This is an understatement. Again, he aims very low, afraid of disappointment.
It's going to be a big part of your life going forward.
This interview has fun with these guys, and she looks completely serious.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as you know, Kate.
Again, he looks at her and down. This is very dismissive, almost condescending. Some people might be hurt, but Kate apparently likes it.
Kate's family, she's got a very, very close family, and I get on really well with them, and I'm very lucky that they've been so supportive.
Split up, famously, all over the papers. What was all that about?
The split up already indicates there were some difficulties between the two.
Well, I think, to be honest, I wouldn't read everything. I wouldn't believe.
Again, disgust, dismissive.
Everything you read in the paper, but in that particular instance, we did split up for a bit, but that was just we were both very young. It was
looking at her down. She doesn't look at him.
University, and we were sort of both defining ourselves as such and
disgust.
Being, different characters and stuff. It was very much trying to find our own way, and we were growing up, and so it was just sort of
growing up. So we're already adults.
A bit of space and a bit of things like that, and
makes no sense.
It soon worked out for the better.
I at the time wasn't very happy about it, but actually it made me a stronger person. You find out things about yourself that maybe you hadn't realised, or I think you can get quite consumed by a relationship when you're younger. And
very small illustrators. She takes very little space.
I really valued that time.
Valued the time. She was hurt, and she says she valued the time.
That you wanted to marry each other, did that come slowly? Did you suddenly decide a couple of weeks ago?
This interview has fun with them. Man, oh man.
When I first met Kate, I knew there was...
She looks up, oh God, get me out of here.
Something very special about him, and that I knew that there was possibly something that I wanted to explore there.
He looks at her, she looks at him, he looks away.
But we ended up being friends for a while, and that just sort of was a good sort of foundation, because I do genuinely believe now, especially that being friends with one another is a massive advantage.
How boring. There's no passion. It doesn't start as a friendship. The friendship comes normally later.
And it just went from there. And over the years, I knew things were getting better and better.
Doesn't look like it.
And we went through a few stumbling blocks.
Disgust. Big gap. Big silence. She looks up. Oh my God.
As every relationship does. But we picked ourselves up and carried on. And we,
dismissive.
From where you had, the odd problem when you were first getting to know.
So they talk a lot about problems.
Each other. Those have all gone, and it's just really easy with being with each other, and it's really
shaking his head. It doesn't seem easy.
Fun, and I'm obviously extremely funny, and she loves that. So
he is not funny.
It's pretty good.
But somehow she likes it, I mean, they do fit somehow, they're somewhat soulmates. I don't know what the glue is.
You say so yourself.
Also not funny at all.
Well, I think when you go out with someone for quite a long time, you do.
So they're stressing a lot. A long time was the interviewer.
Get to know each other very, very well.
Oh man, that sounds boring.
You go through the good times, you go through the bad times.
Again, a lot of talk about bad times here. It's a relatively young relationship. There shouldn't be any bad times.
Both personally, but also within a relationship as well. And I think if you can come out of that stronger, and
it sounds like a lot of work.
As I said, things about yourself. It's certainly.
I lost count.
It's been
3, 4.
There's some odd connection between the two.
It's a wonderful family. The members who I've met have achieved a lot, and very inspirational. So
inspirational, and she makes these very little movements.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem inspired.
I do.
There's no pressure though, because like Kate said, it's about carving your own future.
to grow and understand myself more as well. So
She talks a lot about herself. She seems to have her share of issues she's dealing with, this filling the gap between the two.
But no, we're hugely excited, and it's we're looking forward to spending the rest of the times, the rest of our lives together,
Oh, sounds boring.
let's see what the future holds.
learn quickly and work hard. Now,
She'll do really well.
Yeah.
We'll do very well.
A friendly pat on her knee. There's no prolonged touching or even looking at each other. They're more like friends. They're not like a young, passionate couple.
I really hope I can make a difference. Even in the smallest way. I'm looking forward to help
Smallest way, aiming also very low.
as much as I can.
So they have this in common, avoiding to reach high, protecting themselves from disappointment when something doesn't work later.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. You look, as I said at the start, very relaxed, very happy.
Very calm, very relaxed on the outside. There's all kinds of stuff here in the air and in between here. In summary, there's overall very little going on between the two. I imagine they're playing board games like Scrabble at home. He's much more similar to Prince Charles, his father, than Harry is. And Kate plays a bit the role of his mother. Okay, I hope you liked this video and talk to you next time. Bye.